Hooray! Welcome to the channel. My name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this series. So today we're going to be looking at ethical hacker labs. And for this ethical hacker labs, we're going to be looking at how to expand, examine, explore, analyze, exploit code. Now, most of the times, your vulnerability is going to be as a result of code. Now, there are quite a lot of exploit code that we have around. And in this series, we want to see how do we know maybe what script or what language or what that particular exploit code is going to be doing. But before now on the series, on the ethical hacker series, we've gone through about 10 modules. We've gone through quite a lot of labs, about 15 labs that hovers around how to stop a virtual machine, how to do reconnaissance and footprinting within the different digital assets, how to do vulnerability assessment, how to write your pen testing report. We are moving forward to also see how do we analyze exploit code. Now, for this particular lab, you're going to be needing internet access and maybe your vulnerable machine. Now, if you are taking the CompTIA pen test certification exam, or you're going to be taking the CH, or you're taking the Cisco ethical hacker exams, one of the things you want to do is to be able to analyze exploit codes. So some of the samples we have, we're going to go through in, I think, 2 parts, or just maybe 1 part. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You could ask your questions in the comment section, and you can also join us in either our internship programs or our mentorship programs. You could do well to chat us using the contact you have in this video. Now, the very first part of the lab is going to be how do we conduct research and analyze exploit code samples. So the very first one is going to be Nmap. So this is Nmap scripts. Now, the point is that at times your script is going to be doing quite a lot of things. Now, for this very first one, so for this particular lab, you have this command displaying known vulnerabilities corresponding to different vulnerability exploits, common vulnerability exploits. So let's get on Linux environment. I'll just clear my screen. Or rather, I'll do a clear. CLS is on your Windows environment. I will clear. And I will run this particular script. Let me, right? I will run this particular script. I'll just paste my clipboard. I will run this. Now, one thing you should understand is that this particular environment, I think this is the damn vulnerable web application, right? And what the script is doing is that it's saying, I want to use Nmap to run this particular scan. And in running this particular scan, right? In running this particular scan, let me interpret just a moment. In running this particular scan, you want common vulnerability exploits that are at least 4. Now, you know, for common vulnerability exploit, you have different numbers from 0 up to 10. So if you have 10, it then means that's going to have a high impact. That's going to have a very high risk. So if we expand and try to analyze this, we're going to see all the different results. So you say, this is going to start the Nmap script, and it's going to go through and see the ports that are open, the ports that are closed, the common variability exploits it has seen, the documentation for the particular vulnerability, what vulnerability it is. Then if you come down to the very, very end, it's going to show you all of the different exploits. And the most important thing here is you're going to see that the minimum number is 4, because anything above 4, then we should start having some kind of concern. For things about 7, 8, 9, those are very high risk. So any vulnerability tool you're going to use, either Nmap scripts, either Zap, Nexus, they will be able to do those vulnerability assessment for you and also tell you the vulnerabilities present and tell you the score. Now, what information will be displayed from the command? So if you run the script, you want to be able to analyze what the script is going to do. So this command will display known vulnerabilities and their corresponding CVEs. The minimum CVSS argument that you have here will limit the output to only CVEs with CVSS scores higher than 4. So we just want only vulnerabilities that have a score higher than 4. Take, for instance, if we copy this particular vulnerability and we want to research about it, right? I will just drop this. Or rather, I could just see how to type that at CVE 2021 and 30047. If you research on this vulnerability, you see these are the common vulnerabilities and exploits and exposures. If you tap on it, depending on the database you're using, they are properly documented vulnerabilities. Sorry, you could check on it and put in the ID there. It's going to give you detail about that particular vulnerability. Right? So what you can do here, you could download the entire database. You could just search by keywords. You can put the vulnerability exploit code, and you're going to see more details about this vulnerability. Okay, now the next thing is going to be refer to the following script. I think let me just go a little bit and dig down. Let me put the CVE ID here. So this is it. Copy selection. 347. Sorry, 347. So if you search here, you're able to see complete detail about that particular vulnerability that your software has found. So this is it here. If I click here, I'm going to see what the vulnerability is about, what attack it's possible with that particular vulnerability, the reference for it. And what it does is that it allows attackers to cause denial of service due to limited number of connections allowed. So if you have a system that is being configured to limit the number of connection that it has, what's going to happen is that can be exploited. So this is the CVE program. This is more detail about it. You could research on it. Then you can also look at what countermeasures should you be exploring for that particular vulnerability. So this is it here, properly detailed. It's verified. What it does is remote denial of service. Now this is a great deal about the exploits that can be done on that particular PC that have that vulnerability. Okay, let's get back to the lab. So now let's look at this script. Refer to the following script. So this is a bash script, content, green, reset. Please wait for GVM. So GVM is a vulnerability tool. What it does is that you could put in an IP address, a URL, and it could scan for vulnerabilities and give you a comprehensive report with all of the CVEs and the scores. Right? The system, CTL, start, notice scanner, GVM, OP, OSPD, open vars, sleep for 5 seconds, do all of that, and you end. So the question here is, what Kali tool is being launched in the above script? So if you want to know more about GVM, so GVM in the documentation for GVM is a Kali tool, right? This is what it looks like. Very, very greenish in color. All you just need to do is that once you load it, you start a new scan, put in an IP address, and you scan. Once you scan, it's going to give you detail about the vulnerability. You could install it using sudo apt install GVM, right? Okay, that's about that. So the tool here, as you can see, is what? GVM. Which scripting language do you think was used? So bash, right? So you see at the start of the script, you see bash here. That tells you that is a bash script. There is this vulnerability we just looked at a while ago. Like, see this particular one. This should be something like Python, right? Look at this particular script here that can cause denial of service. If you examine this script, right? So this is a simple Python script because it's going to import sockets, systems, threading, sub-processes, and time, right? So because Python is that language most of the times that do a lot of crawling, that do a lot of, that can tap into system resources, and it does that using the import function. Now, the idea is that you're able to understand different scripts and different case studies. In module 10 of this series, if you check this particular module 10, it's going to be premiering and available in a few hours. I did a thorough, comprehensive description of different scripting languages and how you can be able to identify them. Now, which scripting language do you think was used? Now, first, at the beginning of the script, it's identified as bash, right? Meaning it's a shell script that uses bash syntax. Now, let's look at another question here. Referring to the line of code shown in the box, what type of exploit is being executed, created? Is the exploit stored on the client side or the server side? What language is this? So this is a classical example of JavaScript. Now we know that JavaScript is a front-end language, but depending on if it is you're trying to do XSS, if it's stored, XSS, cross-site scripting, if it's stored, most likely it's going to be getting to the database. Like in this case where you have to sign in, so this is going to be getting back to the database. Like I said, in this particular module, one thing you need to learn is for whatever language you want to pick up in your pen testing learning toolkit, you want to understand how to perform basic CRUD operations. Now, in an actual exploit, what could malicious this code, okay, maybe what kind of malicious events can happen when you run some of these codes? Now, most of the times in cross-site scripting, what hackers will want to do might be to redirect users to another site. Refer to the command below. What information will be displayed from the command? If we run this particular script on Linux, now this is an Nmap script. It's trying to enumerate users on this particular computer, right? Now, actually on port 139 and port 445. If you just do a simple Google of these two ports, so these two ports are known for SMB, right? And SMB is going to give us details about the network shares, about communications between the system. Now, let's try and run that particular command. So we just run this command on our Linux machine. I will just clear. I will run this command here. Paste selection. Now, this is our damn vulnerable web application. We want to enumerate users using Nmap scripts on this port number for this particular machine. So let's run that. So it's going to be running Nmap script. Then it's going to be telling us which ports are open. The NetBIOS, the Microsoft DS is up and running. Then for the users, it's going to be enumerating the arbiter. It's going to be enumerating master chef. It's going to tell us that, okay, we just have one IP address and one of the hosts is up. That is, that one system is up. Now, you see this particular user, the account is disabled, the password is not required. This one also is disabled, the password is not required. So this is a vulnerability. We've enumerated all the users for this particular IP address. Now, server message block usernames on the target computer disk. So that's what we just did right now. Now refer to the command. So this is mostly used for SQL statements. So what might you be trying to do? You're saying this or this is equals to this. So this is always going to be correct. So just trying to run a statement that is always going to be true. Then you select users and their password from user table, right? So this is what it's just going to do is to enumerate all of the users and their password. So that's what this kind of command is going to do. Now, the next one is going to be this SMB client. You could run this on this particular IP address. What's going to do is that whatever scan it runs is going to add that to this particular file, right? So for this command, what it does, like I said, is just to transfer the files between systems using the SMB client utility. Okay, that's all about examining code. So if you take away from this particular lab is that you should understand some basic Nmap script. You should be able to know what a bash script looks like. You should also be able to understand what a Python script looks like. Then also you should be able to know what a cross-site scripting attack looks like. You should also be able to understand what an SQL statement looks like when it comes to SQL injection. Okay, I think that's all for this particular lab. Next, we're going to move on to one of the many labs we have pending for this series. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. You could ask your questions in the comment section.